Atlassian makes creating Jira projects much more complicated than it should be. So if I go to my project create screen, I have a sidebar full of different department types and different products that I could click on and then go through each one of these to see which template options that they offer. Now, what makes it even worse is that when I click on the Jira product, I met with a few different options that are completely different project types. And one of the biggest things that I see with the clients and teams that I work with is when they pick the wrong project type for their particular team, it really just turns them off from Jira and they think that it's not capable of doing what they need it to do. So a really practical example of that is if, let's say, you're a procurement team and you want a very simple board or project to be able to manage all of your procurement tasks for your department. And you want to be able to sort of bring things from the start of the life cycle through the end for your devices, for your hardware that you have internally. Now, if you pick the wrong project type, and this in particular would be the wrong project type, this is a software development board, you're going to be met with a lot of features that just do not make sense for that team. So you have things like code, security, releases, deployments, and when you actually click on a work item, you're met with things like more deployments, releases, story points, sprints, and a whole bunch of other things that just never make sense for a procurement team in the first place. Now, what makes this even worse with a project type like this is that it's actually a little bit harder to manage than a regular business project. And the reason that is because we could have multiple boards. I could then go into each individual board and configure the layout. I could have swim lanes, card colors, quick filters, and a whole bunch more. And while these features are great for development teams, most of the time they do not make sense for a general business team. And when I say business team, I pretty much am saying anyone who is not technical and who don't need any kind of service management capabilities, which I'll touch on in just a moment. So a procurement project would be a lot more reasonable to use a general business project like this one, where we don't have the board settings, where we don't have the technical functionality that we do with a software board. And these projects look very similar, so similar that a lot of people might not even be able to spot the difference until they actually start to use it. So if I actually flip between these two, the style of them looks very similar. It's just a feature set on the back end that is different. And when I open up one of these work items, it's a lot simpler, straightforward, and clean for a procurement team. And the same thing applies to your marketing teams, your IT teams that want general project and task tracking, your executive teams, and anyone else who might be using a tool like Asana, like Smartsheets, or any other general business tracking tool, maybe even Monday, to track their work in Jira. If they create the wrong project, it's going to be a lot harder for them and a lot more complex to manage. So back to our create screen, here's how I typically run through and create projects for business teams in particular. So I pretty much skip all of the project templates and go straight to the Jira product. And I'll break the rest of these down in just a moment. But when I'm in Jira, there's sort of two different subsections of projects within the Jira product. And the reason that is because there used to be two different products, one called Jira Work Management and one called Jira Software, that they merged together roughly a year ago. And because of that merger, there are some feature set and functionality that are different on the back end of these project types. So your Kanban and Scrum are your typical software development technical teams, and your business projects are your more business focused and project management style workflows. So you have your blank project, which is what I normally use for any kind of a business team. And if you're looking for that business project, it's typically labeled in the description, and it's a little bit harder to find, which makes it even more confusing in most scenarios. But if you're scrolling through any of these and looking at in particular to see if it'll work for your team, you could see if it's a business project, and then that's going to be your Asana, Smartsheets, your Monday.com style tools within Jira. And if you're a software team, you're going to be looking at the Kanban Scrum. And then if you're a service management team, you're going to be looking at Jira Service Management. And this is great for IT support, for customer support, HR support, any kind of general service management that you may be doing. That's going to be your JSM type projects. And then we have product discovery. This is sort of a little bit different and really great for product road mapping, also for sort of prioritization, or using this to, in a way, clean up your backlog or plan your next features, maybe even bugs that you're going to be deploying and implementing with your technical teams. So it's sort of like your backlog cleaner in a way. If you're a technical team, this is a great product for that. Now, with Jira, you have those two different sub options when you actually create these. So you have your typical software projects and then your business projects, and you can't switch those. Once they're created, the backend is like pre-configured, and in order to get the feature set of the other, you have to go back and recreate these projects entirely and rerun migrations. So definitely make sure you're choosing the correct ones. The rest of these, so service management and product discovery, these are all primarily handled with features on the back end, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So you could pretty much choose any of those projects, and when you go into the project itself, you could go to project settings, and there's a features tab, which then allows you to toggle on and off a host of features that you could utilize within this project. And this is essentially what gives you the functionality for customer support, and then other projects have IT support, other projects have general service management. So you pretty much can't go wrong when creating a service management project. You might just have to do some more cleanup. And if you'd like to start with something very specific to you, you could do that as well if you know that one of these will work really well. Otherwise, you could start with the blank project and then just toggle on whichever features make most sense for your team. So that's a quick overview of how to actually create projects and the typical workflow that I use. I skip all of these pre-made templates for the most part, go straight to the products, click on Jira if I need a software or business project, JSM if I need any kind of service management, and then product discovery for road mapping and prioritization. So that's a quick overview, and hopefully it makes a lot more sense for you moving forward. And if you want a partner to help you with your Jira implementation and Atlassian implementations to help get this right the first time, that way you're not doing any kind of trial and error, messing up these implementations and then redoing them later, feel free to reach out to myself for a strategy session. In the description, it's going to be the very first link. You can click on that and then book a strategy session with me, and we'll go over your current Jira environment. And if it makes sense, we'll actually share how we work with companies just like yours. See you there.